It's September 1938 and James Given is a Warwickshire police inspector looking into 3 suspicious deaths at a country house. He's recently interviewed a man called Alan Hailson, who was present in the house at the time. On his return, James has been questioned by 2 men, Mitchell and Spencer of MI5, who tell him Hailson has been arrested as a Russian spy. Mitchell allows James to interview Hailson again. Hailson sat huddled in the corner of an airless cell. The dapper and sophisticated young man I'd met with in Birmingham had all but disappeared. His tie and jacket had been removed, and he was handcuffed to his chair. A red welt across his cheek suggested his interrogators hadn't exactly been gentle, and I couldn't help feeling sorry for him, regardless of what he might have done. I could be tough enough myself in interviews, quite prepared to raise my voice and act the bully, but I'd never resorted to beating a suspect into submission. Spencer had brought me here after our little chat. He possibly still didn't trust me, but it seemed he was the junior man, and it was Mitchell's decision which mattered. As we'd walked from the canteen past several rows of huts, Spencer explained Hailson had been pulled in that morning, following several weeks' observation. He had to stop his story several times when groups of soldiers walked past. He displayed a fascinating knack of being able to switch almost imperceptibly from disclosing state secrets to discussing the latest radio shows, and back again when the men had passed out of hearing. MI5 had been alerted by the Foreign Secretary's office when it appeared as if the German team had prior knowledge of what was being brought to the negotiating table. Several civil servants had been investigated, and Hailson emerged as the most likely suspect when he was seen with a known Russian go-between. What Hailson didn't know was that his contact dutifully passed material down the line, but somewhere in that line it was being diverted to the Abwehr, the German intelligence service. It took a little more listening into Hailson's telephone conversations and interception of his mail before they could tighten the noose. They were tailing Hailson throughout this time and recorded my meetings with him. It was pretty obvious why they concluded I could be implicated. Hailson had apparently confessed everything, though Spencer didn't say if it was before or after the young man had been beaten. He was misguided enough to believe the Soviets could prevent the outbreak of war, and this had taken him down the path of betraying his country. He had the best of intentions, but made the worst of decisions. I pulled the chair close into Hailson and asked if he wanted a glass of water, which he refused. For a minute or two he didn't seem to know who I was. Whether they'd also drugged him to get at the truth I couldn't tell, but he was not fully in possession of his faculties. I had to speak to him several times before my voice sank in. "Inspector Given, what are you doing here? Can you get me out of this, please?" He sounded pitiful, and I decided to play on his need for an ally. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hailson, but there's nothing I can do. In fact, because of my association with you, I was arrested myself. They only released me when it was confirmed I'd only been with you because of Tom Barley's murder. That's why I'm here. Is there any more you want to tell me now you're in this mess? Get it off your chest." This seemed to shock him out of his disorientation. He sat bolt upright in his chair, and for the first time looked me straight in the eye. "What are you saying, Inspector? That you suspect me of killing Tom, his mother and Jenny? How could you think I'd do such a thing? Haven't I been open with you in our discussions?" "I have to admit that I did think you had been truthful, Alan, but now I'm faced with new information. I wouldn't for a moment have suspected you of being a traitor either, though now it seems you are. If you look at it from my point of view, you must know I have little choice but to put you in the frame again, don't I?" "What possible reason could I have for taking Tom's life? He was my best friend." "You know, Alan, I've been asking myself the same question. What would be your motive? And it's why you were discounted at the beginning. But now, well, you're proven to be a liar. with no scruples about providing classified information to another country. I have to conclude that you could murder several people and tell me with a straight face that you're innocent. But you have no evidence. I am innocent, I am. My disgust got the better of me. Maybe you didn't kill the Barleys and Jenny Bamford, but you're far from innocent. Your actions have put thousands, if not millions, of lives at risk, and you know it. What difference would 3 more deaths make to you? You're right. I have no evidence, but I do have a theory, and the evidence will emerge if it's an accurate one. You've already said you and Tom were close, and I believe you confided your treachery to him. You wouldn't have called it that, of course. You'd have told him you were acting in the best interests of England, that those around you were fools and couldn't see communism was the best way forward. Even though you were Tom's oldest friend, you'd never have guessed how horrified he'd have been at what you were admitting. Seeing his reaction, you'd have to silence him. So you waited for your moment, stole the shotgun from the gardener's shed and shot him. Lady Isabel came on the scene and you had to kill her as well. As for Jenny, you suspected Tom might have told her your secret and you needed to silence her as well. An easy decision once you'd killed twice. Hailson continued to whimper and shake his head. None of this is true. None of it. I didn't kill Tom. You have to believe me. I don't have to believe you, Hailson, and I will get to the bottom of this. For the time being, I'm going to leave you to our mutual friends and see what they can get out of you.